Welcome back. Casey Campbell with you, of course. We are pleased to be joined by Justin Thelen, the head football coach at Saginaw Hertiage High School. How's it going?
It's great. It's great. We're coming off of a big win last week, but it was time to turn the page quickly. We've got a really good Mount Pleasant team on Friday, so we're looking forward to the challenge.
You guys have done a lot of cool things this year with, changing a culture. That's basically what you came in and start with when you came in a few years ago. Looking at what you've done now, you have a more normal season. Yeah, obviously last year was last year, and I know just trying to build it with that. But overall, are you surprised with the success that you've had thus far?
No, because we had a really resounding response after the year last year. It was a difficult year. It was a difficult year for everybody. We didn't have the year that we wanted to, and the Monday after that Traverse City Central playoff game last year, we had 35 plus guys in the weight room. And that's when the offseason started. So we had a really strong offseason. We've got great leadership at the top with an awesome senior class. And so, no, I'm not surprised by the success that we've had. And, we've got a huge challenge this week, and we don't want it to end anytime soon.
This is what year is this for you?
Second year here.
Okay. Second year at Hertiage.
Yep.
So going into this year, I know the last week was the big week for you. You beat Midland for the first time in 15 years. I know you've done a lot of things that you haven't done in a long time. And you're about to do something, and you could do something this weekend you haven't done in a while too.
Yeah.
I know don't want to brag, but let some of the things of what people outside of high school football that knows what you guys have accomplished this year that hasn't been done in a while.
Yeah, so I mean it's been we're sitting at 4-4 right now, so we still feel like there's obviously plenty to be improved. We started 2-0 for the first time in a decade. We beat Midland High for the first time in 15 years. We're looking to punch our ticket for sure to the playoffs for the first time in 14 years here. The Valley is always competitive. We've played a really, really tough schedule. Obviously, you've got Midland Dow, Mount Pleasant, who are always at the top of the SBL North, but Bay City Western's been really, really good this year. And we cross over with Lapeer Grand Blanc. We played a tough Flushing team in the non-league. So every single week's been a real challenge for us, and trying to make a jump and punching our ticket to the playoffs for the first time in 14 years has been our goal from day one through the offseason. And we try to take things 1 week at a time, stay process oriented. We don't believe that there's anybody on our schedule that we can't beat when we focus on us and execute at the highest level. But it's always been about who's ahead of us. Even before the season started, knowing what a difficult schedule we were going to have, we were focused on the Brighton scrimmage. Then it was Saginaw United. Then it was Flushing, and on and on. So it's been about raising the bar here from day one. That's why we went down to Brighton and scrimmage. The kids were excited to go compete against a program that played in the state title in 2019. We went down to Davison this summer and did a joint scrimmage with them. And again, it's been about raising the bar from day one, setting super high expectations where it's about just a process oriented standard of excellence here.
So I've noticed since I've been around high school football, I've seen a lot of teams that were not good to being really, really good. I don't know how coaches do it. Phil, obviously the biggest turnaround was when Phil Jacobs at Dexter went from the big losing streak to making the playoffs, and now they're a consistent program. You notice what Milford's doing this year with when Godfrey Smith took over a few years ago. There wasn't really anything when he got there, and now they are off to having one of the best seasons in 10 years, similar to what you're doing when you took the Heritage job. Is it something? What is it? I mean, I know it's every program is different, but what did you specifically do to say, we have goals and we got to achieve them and all that? And it's convincing the kids to do it. What was that process like?
That right there is the biggest thing. You talk about convincing the kids. It is developing leaders every day in what you do, just because a player-led program is going to be much more successful than a coaches-led program. And it does start with me, and it starts with developing those relationships. But, once again, we I already spoke on the seniors that we have as leaders. Those guys from day one, from November 2nd, 2020, when our off season started, have held their peers accountable, and they've been an extension of me and the rest of the coaching staff in holding people to the highest of standards. It's been 14 years since the program's made the playoffs. Not everybody expects to succeed, even every 100% of the people within it. And so it's changing that one day at a time and not allowing anything that's beneath our standard to slide by. And it's come to fruition for us in the way of a few big wins, this year. And we, like I said, we don't want to stop. But it's a great question that you ask. I'm a huge believer in the weight room, and that's where it all starts. And I think that's where your culture is reinforced constantly. And we've got a ton of guys that developed like crazy in the weight room through the off season. But it's not only getting bigger, faster, and stronger. And there's, like I alluded to, reinforcing your standards and your culture as a program. And if it's not, it can be you constantly reinforcing that standard, but it's got to come from the kids. And so from day one, I really tried to develop great relationships with our kids here. And as a result, they've grown as leaders, as people, and it's grown exponentially because they're holding the people around them accountable, and everybody's buying into the standards here.
So when people watch Saginaw Heritage football, I know coaches still hate when I ask this question. I know that, everything's all team oriented and it should be. But for people that don't know, talk about some of the guys that really have, stood out and made people would notice on Saginaw Hertiage.
That's a great question. And one of my favorite things about this team is I think we play extremely complementary football in all three phases. We've got a ton of guys that make plays for us on offense, defense, and special teams. For the first 5-6 weeks of the year, our quarterback, Josh Braley, was putting up great numbers and has really been an awesome player for us. And he broke his thumb recently. And this last game, our backup quarterback, Ashton Rubio, steps in and throws for 360 yards and 4 touchdowns, and that's for a backup quarterback to step in. It's a kid who's always been ready. But it speaks to the complementary nature of our football team. So Braylon Isom as a sophomore has made a ton of plays at receiver for us. He had, he caught for 230 yards against Flushing earlier in the year and 2 touchdowns. He had another 170 and 2 touchdowns. Josh made a ton of plays for us at quarterback. Tommy Churchill's kind of Mr. Do-It-All as a sophomore for us, plays running back, played some quarterback last week, a lot of defense. I already mentioned Colin, Darian Gum, another linebacker, Josh, who started the year at quarterback and transitioned over to defense, making a ton of plays for us on defense. Tyrus McDowell, another senior, who's done a lot of really good things for us defensively. Ty Robertson, another sophomore, carries the ball for us, plays D-line. So like I said, I don't think that we're a team that necessarily relies on one guy. I didn't even mention the offensive line there. We speak on running the ball, stopping the run, and winning the turnover battle here. And when we can't run the ball, we can't win. And those guys as a unit have been really good. So I hopefully shouted out every single group on our team. It again speaks to the complementary nature of our guys and how they've developed.
Yeah. So going into this weekend's game with, against Mount Pleasant, going in there and knowing that it's a team you haven't beaten in a while.
Yep.
But overall, what has been the message all year? What's the big thing that you guys are working on this week?
It's about being detail oriented in everything we do. We talk all the time about having our toes on the line, about doing the first step correct as an offensive lineman, winning leverage, getting your helmet in terms of pad level underneath the other guys. It's about being detail oriented and talking about Mount Pleasant. They're 8-0. It's been 9 years since Heritage has beaten Mount Pleasant. They're a really, really good team, a top 5 ranked team in Division III. What they do so well is everything that's detail oriented. I already talked about running the ball, stopping the run, and winning the turnover battle. That's what they do over there. They've got a really efficient quarterback, always run the ball well. They stop the run. They're stout. They don't give up big plays. So again, for us, it's about being detail oriented, ensuring that we're finishing drives, being satisfied with 3 to 4 yards, and understanding that if you stick to those details and do everything correctly, that turns into 5, 6, 7, 15, 20 yards later on in the game. So they are a great program. Coach Mack does an awesome job over there, and we're really excited for that challenge.
Of course. All right. Well, Justin Thelen, thanks for spending some time with us, and good luck this weekend against Mount Pleasant.
I appreciate you, Casey. Thanks a lot.